I know I always look tired, and it's for good reason. I play a lot of Planet Side, and I just don't get enough sleep. It's and it doesn't bother me because I've practically been um, I've practically been without sleep for like ever since I started having sleep apnea. So back in early 2000. Um, yeah, that sounds right. So I used to have a good um, device for sleep apnea, but everything that I've had ever since has not worked. And it's because of the way that it tries to make itself successful. And my first machine ever, all it did was just pump the same pressure into my lungs all the time. And the newer ones where they start out softer and then they ramp it up at the end, that those machines um, just don't work with me. And the sad thing is the only machines that really ever worked were the first ones, the simple one pressure variety. And I had one that worked, and they stopped making them. They started making these stupid fuckers that have cell phone transmitters and all sorts of stuff. So the people that you got the machine from can collect information on your progress and figure out what's going on with your. It's bullshit. You know, I wish I just had that one sleep apnea device um, that I had from the very beginning. It was a Respironics, and it was those big old brown ones, that just had the button, the cheap um, button face, the bubble button face, and you just turned it on, and it went, and it would go through, and you could run it through a a little container of water, and it would humidify it if you wanted to, and you had a filter. A little filter went in the back. It was very simple, and it always worked. It always, always, always worked. And then after that, they just fucked with it. They just fucked it up. They figured that they had to add more to it. Make it so that it ramps up the pressure at the end. That stuff just fucking doesn't work. You know, because you come into sleeping knowing what to expect, but then they ramp up the pressure and you wake up choking because the pressure's too high. And they figure they need a higher pressure. No, you don't fucking need a higher pressure. You just need one fucking number. Just one fucking number. That's all you need. You don't need all the other fucking shit that goes into it. And the reason why they do that is because the sleep apnea stuff is considered a medical device, and so they can get your insurance company to pay them to like crazy amounts of money to get that device. If it was something simple, then after a while, the insurance company would go, this is just a this is just a thing that blows air into their lungs, and there's nothing special about it. All it does is it sends a specific pressure into people's lungs, and they wouldn't be able to collect the money. So that's my theory for the reason why they fucked up sleep apnea machines. The reason why I can't get any sleep anymore is because they fucked up the sleep apnea machines. Now, if the government went in and said sleep apnea companies can no longer make money off of health insurance companies, are not considered medical products, then all these guys that make all this money off of sleep apnea, they would get out of the business, and they wouldn't be like trying to suck money out of people. And then there would just be one simple sleep apnea device, and they'd sell it for $20, $30 down um, at your local drugstore, you know. That's what would happen. And then whenever people wanted to bring up their sleep apnea device, just put in their number and it would put out a pressure, and then they just put the mask on, and you know, all the masks, all the fucking machines, all the shit that they make that tries to make it worth all this money and trying to create this whole industry. You know, all they have to do is go and say, this is fucking bullshit, and all anybody needs is this one device over here that we could throw for $30 down into and the reason why they can do shit like that is because of the reason why whenever you go to get your glasses, they can force you to have a eye exam so that you get new glasses. That's to create this whole optics industry. There are so many fucking things in our world that are there, um, that have been made into complete conglomerates of stuff that you throw lots of money at, that if you think about it is nothing more than some glass with some plastic. And I mean, the bare raw materials don't mean shit. They don't have any real value. And so if you're wondering why the American dollar is not worth shit, it's because of all those fuckers out there that are charging way too much for the raw materials. They're trying to make something into an art. They're trying to make something into something professional, something scientific, whenever it really is not even more not scientific than an iPad. And the iPads are got more technology in them than your glasses or your sleep apnea breathing devices. And you know that those devices, those medical devices, they don't go through all the testing and stuff that your drugs do. They're thrown onto the market instantly, whether they will hurt you or not. So the fact that that would even be considered a medical device is probably a result of us allowing the government to reduce the amount of oversight so everything can look like a medical device. See, if you had much stringent tests on medical devices, then it would have to be serious, and you wouldn't be able to include all of these people that don't have any medical degrees or anything like that. They're just providing the technology. You know, they're trying to create this distribution of stuff. They're just trying to create a bogus industry, creating all these little bogus industries that people can make lots of money on, but don't offer any actual tangible worth. And so what they're doing is they're diminishing the amount of the American dollar, because in the end, when those people sell those machines off, either they're not going to get anything for them, or they're only going to get them for their raw material worth. Because that's what they'll. And there's so much of a focus on selling when you sell software, you're selling software licenses. And you don't own the software. You can't take the software and sell it to somebody else because it was sold to you. So if I buy apps on the App Store, I can't trade my app for somebody else's for money to somebody else, because all I've got is a license, and that license is to me. So if you're wondering why the American dollar isn't worth shit, that's an example. Is that you cannot trade, you cannot maintain, you cannot keep forever the apps that you purchase. You're not permitted to actually own what you spend money on. And so they do that so that they don't have to compete with with all the residual of things that they've sold before. They're not competing with the products they sold before. So they sell the license to use that product, and then later on they can nullify that product and you have to repurchase it because they don't want to compete with all of the stuff that they sold, So like if you sell cars, just imagine selling a car and then somewhere down the road the car stops working, nobody can create parts for it, the car goes instantly into a landfill. The only thing you can do is buy the next new car from the same manufacturer if you want that car. That's what they're trying to do. And it's like what one industry can do, the other one wants to do but can't. They're going to figure out how to do what the other industry is doing. So one industry, the software industry, is selling you a license that only allows you to use the software for a period of years and then it stops working. The people who manufacture cars and cell phones and all that stuff, they are jealous of those guys, and so they say, I want to do that with my industry. I want to make it so that I'm not competing with the residual of all the stuff that my clients bought. And see, that's the thing is that your dollar is worth nothing. It's going to be worth nothing as a result of you throwing money at stuff that will vaporize tomorrow. You don't actually hold, of all the money that you throw in at the stuff you buy, depending on who you are, if you're buying a lot of medical technology, you're buying anything that's technological, its raw materials do not equate to its value does not equate to the raw materials that make it up. It isn't, and so in the end, they're probably going to turn it off in such a way that you can never use it again. You can't fix it, and so it'll end up being a doorstop. I hate that.